Hello and welcome to Kabalistic Astrology, the world's weekly forecast with Matt Taylor. My name is Nicola Ercolani. We speak about the world's astrology for this week coming, so you can get more insights for spirituality, for your energetics, in order to serve the waves of life's consciousness. Now, Nespa, how are you, Matt, this week?
I'm fine. How are you doing?
I'm very good. Thank you so much.
Yeah, that's good. Yes, I feel very good actually for an eclipse. Not too bad.
I think
all
it's
right.
so interesting. I saw last week on many places where people were like, "Oh, how do you feel with the current energies?" And like a lot of in the spiritual community and the esoteric and mystical communities, a lot of people seem to suffer very badly from this eclipse season. And I can understand that, because if you're not willing to move, if you're not willing to let go now, proactively kind of, it's very difficult. Like, you really have to move your ass at the moment.
Right. I think the key word there is let go.
Yeah.
How much we let go of something. It's like this is the axis of holding on and letting go, the Taurus Scorpio axis. So, to the extent we let go, we can really move forward and transmute a lot of energy that we're not holding anymore. But particularly with Scorpio, it's a very deep energy. It's very in our deepest core. So we're really dealing with old things from not even maybe this life. So, yeah. And it's also very sexual energy, it's power energy, it's control energy, abuse energy, all sorts of darknesses and, a lot of pain that we hold on to for many lives can come up. Yeah, no, with the just to talk a little bit more about Scorpio, because it's the lunar cycle that we're in right now. So, Scorpio is the stuff about the deepest recesses of the human condition, and also the metaphysical, all the esoteric. So it's really where all of that work combines. So a lot of this energy that we're going through is about how we transmute darkness to light. The Scorpions as people are very extreme. They're very best friend or your enemy, or they're extremely happy or they're depressed, or they're loving something or they want to destroy it. There's nothing about them that is balanced. And a lot of their work is to come more into balance. One of the things about Taurus, which is the full moon, is a lot about balance, right? So you can see that this moon is going to be very much about your impulses, your biggest desires, what you're out of control with, what is, what's controlling you, what's abusing you. And sometimes they're not outside things. There can be internal things about how we do it to ourselves, or where we have pulses and stuff like that. So, we're holding on to a lot of things that are in the deepest recesses of the human condition.
Mm-hmm.
And so one of the things about this cycle and about these full moons is always when it's Taurus Scorpio axis, it's going to bring up a lot of things where we have a lot of holding on, or too much impulse, or I really need something, or this is what I want, and where it's going to show us where we have a lot of that.
Mm-hmm. I personally, I'm a Taurian, as many of our listeners know by now. So right. I can feel that very, very, I can feel the effect of the eclipse, and especially the Taurus Scorpio part of it. I can really feel it within myself. For example, I just, last week, I had to let go of my practice in Lucerne that I had since the beginning. I started working with my own company. And that just it's flowing away. There was a company that bought the house that I was in. They need now the rooms by themselves. And it was within 2 weeks, I was out. It was really, really quick. And now the second part of the letting go is the house that I will go more into moving in Europe and in the world more for the next year. So I have to let go of a lot of things, also physical possessions, which for Taurus is I really don't like it so much. But it's in this process, there is also this this uru, the guru, like from darkness to light. Guru, the word guru means from darkness to light. It's a person, but what I feel at the moment is this axis, this Taurus, Scorpio north node, south node situation for me as a Taurian is a huge guru in sense of where do you find the light within, with less things, with less possession, less security. Also, how much liberation can you hold in your vessel? Like, how much freedom can you project, can you hold, with what can you deal very well? And I think it's so interesting at the moment.
Yeah, right. And so, yeah, here we have in this energy the darkness and light combination at its most powerful. Kabbalistically, we have a like cosmic openings every lunar cycle, like 1 or 2 days, where we do, certain connections for that, cosmic opening. But we don't have any in Scorpio. Some Kabbalists say it's because every day is a cosmic opening. Every day is so intense. It's like we're doing spiritual work every day, and with an eclipse right throughout the month, eclipse affecting us, the energy, it doesn't only happen on the moon or on the new moon. Eclipse energy goes over a month. It really is doing a lot of internal work. And I mean, for me, it was when back in Taurus, the month of Taurus, when we had the eclipse in Scorpio earlier on this year, I really went through a lot of purging, literally, and getting a lot of things out. I think I was with you, Nicole, at the time. We were going through the Taurus Scorpio eclipse. Now we're in the Scorpio Taurus eclipse. I'm not feeling it so much, but I have had my moments. So, yeah, right. Now, this eclipse period is only 2. Sometimes there's 3 eclipses, but it's only 2. So we are now in the final 8 days. So as we go into the full moon eclipse, it heightens on Tuesday, and then 8 days after that, it will finish. So, it will phase out, but we're really coming up to the peak of it this week. And so, there will be traumas, crises, pains, old conditions, old things that, pop up again. Many people think spiritual work is, I've dealt with that. It's not. If I'm speaking to you and you are in a body, you have not dealt with it because you are still on the planet, right? So you are dealing with things, you are healing things eternal while you're here. Yeah. So it's to come out of that mindset, right? Because they think that, I've ticked that box, and now I can sit down and just get my passive income and not do anything, and I'm spiritual. It's kind of a really strange way of thinking about it. It's spiritual work is peeling away layers upon layers, and in fact, the more layers you start to peel away like an onion, the more intense it gets. Like the inner bit of the onion is more intense. So, as the work gets harder, it gets more intense, and this is the month that really represents that kind of peeling away of onions and getting more into the depth, more into the core of the issue, more into the intensity of the issue, and really like allowing it to come up in order to let it pass through. So that's the coming up and having the issue is not the issue. Many people are still stuck on that, having an issue, right? They can't even get past that. The second bit is like to allow yourself to have the issue. That's a big step for some people. Then the next step is to really let go. And that is the hardest step because they're defined themselves by that issue. That's how they get attention. That's how they get power. That's how they get, manipulation. That's how they think they can get through their life is poor me. I've got these problems. Nothing ever happens to me that's good. I'm a good person with bad things. I'm a victim. Right. And so most people living in the planet, hold on to that pain because that's their only mechanism in coping. If I let go of it, how do I get attention? How do I make it about me? How do I, make people do things, unless I have something to complain about? That's about how many people work, if we're honest with ourselves, that unless I'm complaining about some problem, no one's going to talk to me. I'm not going to be interesting. I'm not going to have all the things that I've set up in my life. So it's a victim consciousness. Here, we're about the letting go, right? If you really want to heal something and really go into the reality that you do want without the pain, then we really want to transmute energy. The negative energy isn't about killing anything or destroying it or getting rid of it or having it out. You're actually creating more. What you're doing is you're transmuting it, you're transforming it, you're allowing it to move through you into an energy. How do you do that? Well, most of the pain that we've held on to is because we perceived the situation that we went through as something bad. And maybe it was bad. There are many horrible things that humans do to each other. I'm not denying that. But in everything, there is something that makes us stronger, something that helps us grow, something that helps us understand life more. I know in the deepest and darkest parts of my life, when it was very, very difficult or hard, they've actually been the most defining moments of my life and who I am and what's made me stronger and better, more persistent, more consistent, more balanced. Because if I've done the work with it, I can come out feeling, okay, I understand that. I understand why I went through things. This is where I want to change. And this is how it will benefit me with these certain changes. Yeah. So we're all in that process. We're all going through some difficult moments. There's no one whose persecution is worse than someone else's. Yeah. But how do you move through it? How do you keep like moving on? And how do you grow from it? And you have to, at some point, be prepared to let it go.
Mm-hmm. I think in my work as a trauma therapist, what I see very often is that pain, either physical pain or also emotional pain, is very often also held on the body and in the psyche, because we don't want to forget about someone or some situation. For example, I have many women that, for example, have lost a child, or that have experienced an abortion, or that have lost a parent very early, and so they create a pain pattern in their physical body or in their mind, an emotional pain pattern. And this is blind. You don't know why you do that, but it's like the letting go would mean letting that person or that situation go. And that would mean maybe forgetting about it. And we humans, we very often also honor other humans by not forgetting them. This is a very, very common pattern in my that I see in the past 5 years of my practice. And when this is seen and understood, that you can let go and can find another way of not forgetting that person, or not forgetting that child that would have come, or not for example, you create a little altar in your house somewhere with a candle, and then you have a little ritual for that. So you don't have to hold the pain on the body. And I think that's very interesting. And this current eclipse season really, really amplifies all these type of pains, also the ones that are like really in the shit and really annoying.
Yeah, they can bring up a lot of things, once we start to uproot that, and that can be painful. But at least, when you're uprooting, the pain is on its way out. Yes. So it takes a brave person, but fortunately, the energy of Scorpio is about, really pushing on. It's commitment. It's like the ability to manifest. It's the ability to push through. So there's a lot of strong energy in Scorpio that is really assisting us, in doing a lot of that crisis to healing work, or trauma to freedom work, or darkness to light work. That ability to go into something in order to come out like the phoenix. Yeah, this is very much Scorpio. The other thing with the eclipse is that it's a the full moon eclipse is a total eclipse, where the new moon eclipse was partial. This one will be total eclipse, and we'll still see a little bit of the sun around it, but really it's total eclipse. So it's especially karmic, super hard work, super taking you into the depths and recesses of your own mind. And speaking of mind, Mercury is Cazimi the sun. So this means that Mercury is on exactly the same degree as the sun, and so is the moon. Now, the sun, what it's doing, it represents the conscious reality, and the moon, the subconscious reality. So the sun is saying, hey, I'm shining a light into your subconscious, right? So that you can see what you've buried down there. Psychologists and scientists say we bury things in the subconscious that are too fearful and painful to deal with, our darkness, our chaos, right? So the sun comes in and says, oh, you've got these bats in your attic, right? You've got this craziness going on. Mercury represents the mind, the thought, right? And it's exactly there as well. So we're going to show all your thought processes around your pains and your thoughts about yourself and the terrible things you think about yourself. And the moon answers back saying, I'm the subconscious talking to the conscious. It answers back, this is what's inside me. But the Mercury there is saying, this is how I really think about myself, right? Because often the way we interpret situations in our life is actually just a direct reflection of how we think about ourselves. Something bad happens, oh, that just reinforces all of the things I already thought about myself. Yeah. So in fact, we invite the negative situation in through our own thought, buried deep down thought processes. Now, of course, people will say, I'm optimistic, I'm happy. Why does that all happen to me? It's not what you are consciously that matters here. It's showing you where you are subconsciously, where you don't even know how you think.
Everything does in your reality.
Right, exactly.
Your real life shows you exactly what your subconscious landscape looks like. If you're in a peaceful, freedom, happy place, your subconscious is pretty and cleansed and cleared. And if you're like in a war zone in your subconscious landscape, this is what it looks like in the outside reality. Like this is the game of human existence, and
isn't it? We're writing it in
totally
Scorpio.
Is. And I think it's so interesting that Mercury is kaziming it, because I can feel the Mercury energy like pretty extreme. Also today with the problems, we do this podcast in almost 2 years. We never had internet problems. We never had like connection problems. Like that never existed before. Like, and so for me, it's like this whole situation at the moment, when I would need to give someone a very good advice for tomorrow. Tomorrow is the Tuesday, is the full moon, right? And when I would need to give someone a really good advice, I would say, look, the day tomorrow is a very big opportunity for you to go into the deepest darkness of the darkness. And you can really you can really change shit. What these eclipses also do is like that you can imagine them as like a portal door. And the eclipse is also an amplifier for you to like get into a different type of reality. So that is also very amazing. And it's on an 8. So like from a numerology point of view, the 8 is standing for prosperity, for abundance, for like a lot of positive things when it comes to money, cash. We love that.
True.
So when you want to do something very special on that day, this is something I would highly recommend.
Great. Now, the 2 planets that rule Scorpio are Pluto and Mars. There are 3 signs that have 2 planets: Scorpio, Aquarius, and Pisces. So we are in one of the signs that has 2 planets. And these planets are Pluto and Mars. Pluto and Mars are big brother, little brother. They go very well together. Pluto is the higher dimension to Mars. And they're about where we push forward, where we have intensity, where we have drive, desire. You know, we really have a lot of power within inside of us to break through things and manifest, right? On the negative, they're the abuser, the controller, the conflict.
Professor?
Yes. They're all of those things, right? The aggressor and the victims and all of those things. So you can think about it psychologically, emotionally, sexually, all of that's wrapped up in here, right? Pluto went direct this week. In other words, it's just finished a big retrograde. So when things go after a retrograde, things are being revised, reviewed, looked at again. Pluto retrograde is where are the darknesses? What do we need to detox out? What do we need to bring up to the light? What do we need to go phoenix like inwards and show? Right. So now with it just going direct, it's very obvious what the chaoses are to us, right? It's very obvious. It's clear. There's no doubt about it. We can see internally, externally in the world where the chaoses truly are, right? And there are many of them. There's crises all over the place, right? You can see it. There's energy crisis, cost of living crisis, food crisis, climate crisis. Everything is called crisis. This is very Scorpio, right? We're in energy, and we can see it very clearly. So what do we do about it? And Scorpio is the life and death sign. So we are looking at issues that are, what sort of level of commitment will we go to in order to preserve ourselves, in order to heal ourselves, in order to transform ourselves? It's very interesting that what the kind of things that are happening on the planet right now, such as addressing, supporting people who are at risk of a very difficult winter, looking at like how the COP27, looking at what the actual reality is. Is it how much of it is real? How much of it is we need to address? What's the actual bits we need to think? And Mars retrograde. Mars is retrograding in Gemini, which means I'm rethinking everything about my pure survival and my life on the planet. So this is not doomsday, but it makes us rethink, relook at, review, and have another honest and direct approach at what is that I need to address in my life, and gives me the power to address it. Yeah. So there are many things that are happening right now in the politics of the world that are about that, but also in our own lives.
Yeah. What I personally can absolutely say is, if you need some Mars support, some support in also this whole retrograde of Mars, the review of the eye, the review of the perception of who you are, the review of me, the review of, do I have enough ego? Because like in spiritual communities, people are like, oh yeah, I don't want to have an ego. Well, you should. You should be someone.
You need a healthy one.
You need a healthy ego. It's very important. You need to know who you are, and you need to like who you are. Like, this is like key. So if you want any support in that, what absolutely helps at the moment is, I think rose quartz does a great job at the moment. Absolutely fantastic, because Venus is very close with this whole Scorpio thing, and
it's also, Venus is in Scorpio at the moment.
Yes, so she's like, I find rose quartz at the moment super bomb. So get yourself a little rose quartz bracelet. Get yourself like some arm bracelets or a little rose quartz piece, so it can support you through this time. What also helps, if you feel that you have not enough identity, not enough presence, that you would like to shine more into the world, then the carnelian is an absolute fantastic crystal for the moment to give you more eye. Carnelian is a red crystal. It's very powerful. It's very, first chakra. It's very present, and carnelian helps you to have more presence. And this is something I needed to do as well. And I still working on that. I want to be able to shine more of me into the world, so people can find me and people can find what they need from me, because every person is very individual and is very unique here. And so it's important that you are here. You are important the way you are. So ego is important as well. Yeah.
That's right. The Mercury Cazimi and the Gemini that Mars is retrograding in is very much giving us an opportunity to really hone in on our thought patterns and our communication patterns that define who we are. So we're really looking at our linguistics, how they show, like where they come from, because they're really rooted in the subconscious. Even though I'm very conscious of what I'm saying, the energy that they're coming from and the way I want to show up in the world, and is all very robotic. Yeah, we don't think about free will in the chart. So here the whole idea of this free will option, I can show up in this world however I want to, is sounds amazing, right? And people are driving along or listening to this and thinking, oh yes, I can do that, I know that. Yeah, right. We don't even know how robotic we are, really. The Rav is saying, the Kabbalist is saying something very interesting here, that how do I connect to free will? Well, first of all, we need to realize that we are robotic. We're in a program, we're in a matrix, we are stuck in something. That is how we're born into it. So to firstly allow ourselves to recognize that I actually get out of control. I have no control, even when it's particularly when I think I'm in control. The more I think I'm in control, the more I think I know what I'm doing, know what I'm saying, the less and less you are. So we just put that down for a second. But the whole idea of connecting to free will is to connecting to the cosmos, to go above the planets, to go above these cosmic forces that are blowing things around us, creating circumstances that are in frequency with our subconscious. We want to get out of that. We want to get out of the fact that the planets are ruling us. So we connect above the planets into the endless reality of where there's all that big creative force, and we are just this tiny universe inside. And the Kabbalists explain, to do that, I just need to consciously put myself there. I'm remind ourselves I am free will. I can do something about this or not, or I can change this part of it, or I can deal with this situation differently, or I can look at things how I want to look at things. How do I want to look at things healthily, or not look at things? If they're coming in and I don't want to do it, I can choose not to do it. There is free will options all the time, So this Mercury retrograding is reminding us about how special we are, and also about the multiplicity of options that we can take in order to move on, to move forward, not this continual one way of existing in pain and chaos.
That's so wonderfully explained. I think also what I love, I work with the Kabbalistic teachings at the moment a little bit, so I really I slowly dive into them. And so what I like one of my favorite teachings that Matt showed me for first in August was the teaching of restriction, and how when you restrict, the restriction can be in many different ways. Restriction in spending money, restriction in moving around, restriction, but also energetic restriction of not giving too much, and how that restriction can enlarge in your vessel. And what's my feeling, my at the moment with this robotic behavior also is to actually restrict in our idea that we have control. The more you surrender into not being in control and into not understanding and not knowing what's going to happen, but just going with the flow, the more you are able to do that at the moment, I feel this gives a lot of spaciousness, a lot of freedom, a lot of possibility. And I always say, when people ask me, how does that work with timelines, and how do you do that with different, vibrations, and what do they mean from 3D to 5D? Well, what it basically is it's you opening yourself up to the endless amount of possibilities that life has to offer, and then surrender into the outcome, because you know that you're taken care of. And that's very Scorpio.
Exactly. Yeah. It's very much with this idea of revisiting and rethinking who I am, so I can show up in a new way, and to let go of all the things that I hold on to. Sometimes we even hold on to things that we think are good, but they're not so good. Maybe they're not even real. I've thought I was good at something, and many people think, oh, Matt, you're not very good at this. I'm like, oh. It's true, no? You get the, and then I think I'm not very good at something, people go, no, you're very good at that. So
Yes.
we're very subjective about who we are. We have no idea who we are, really.
No.
And so the
That's
free
why we
will
look at the people.
option and the restriction option is saying, I'm coming back to choose who I am, actually means I'm now buying into exactly who I am in this moment,
Yes.
rather than this repetitive, ongoing self. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Lovely.
Super good.
What a great
All right.
weekly forecast. So if you guys have questions, please shoot us DMs. We're very open to answer these questions. We would love to hear from you, little comments here and there. We wish you all a wonderful week, and we see each other next week for the next podcast.
Ciao.
Goodbye. Goodbye.